All right, so this week in Pax Day, there were a lot of dueling tournaments, and we went to one, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about PvP, one-on-one dueling, balancing, and the wonderful experience I had when I was over and participating, sampling, some would say, the dueling tournaments and the PvP scene out there on Pax Day. So we're going to talk about all of that and a little bit more. Hello and welcome back, all of you amazingly professional consumers of Pax Day and Pax Day related content out there. I'm Altari, the professional gamer, and this is another episode of the Pax Friday Review, the show where we talk about the fun, interesting, new, and exciting information that has come out for Pax Day over the last week. Like Mainframe had advertised, there were many different player-made dueling tournaments scattered around all of the creation for this week, and we went to one of them. And this was an incredibly fun event. I had a really fun time. You're going to see a lot of the footage from that playing in the background while we talk about it. And I thought today would be just a good opportunity for us to just talk about where I think PvP balance is and where dueling is and how that just everything came out. And the particular event that I went to was the Grand Ciferin tournament, and that was all the way down in Shire. If you are one of the players who are on the NA East RP server known as Sif, so Shire is all the way down in the middle of the sticks. It took me a minute and a half to get down there for sure, but it was not without reason. And that was mostly because there was a massive, I think probably close to 8 plots of just fully committed Coliseum goodness that we got to fight in. There were probably, I would say, an estimate around 30 to 40 players that showed up to the event. There were 12 duelists or 11 duelists participating. It was a round robin style dueling tournament, and holy cow, it was a very fun time. So we got down there all the way down to Shire, which is located in Mary, and we went to it. We went and enjoyed thoroughly the dueling tournament. Unfortunately, the professional gamer did lose 2 of the 11 fights, which placed me in 3rd place, which was really more like 4th place. And it was not without controversy. So what exactly happened in the dueling tournament specifically was, there were no rules. Originally, the tournament organizers, they wanted to separate based on gear and tier level and skill level and all of this stuff. But it just was probably just really hard for them to organize, or at least that's what it felt like. I honestly didn't even sign up for this. I had heard about it kind of through the grapevine and said, sure, yeah, I'll go and check it out. Maybe we'll get some cool footage. We'll be able to talk about it a bit on the channel. And there we were. So we showed up. Fortunately, they let me sign up, which I was super grateful for. And honestly, it was put on really, really well. It was super well organized. It did take about 4 hours to go through, but it was just fight after fight after fight after fight. Now, the rules for this particular tournament, well, there weren't many, which actually was pretty nice. So there wasn't really any gear limitations. There wasn't any limitations on what types of gear you could bring. So Sylvan staves were allowed, for example, and there was no limit to how many things you could bring and what you could swap out or what you were using in combat. It was kind of a free-for-all. Consumables were allowed. I think there was a limitation to consumables, but your guy I'd never bring consumables, mostly because I forget to bring them, and I don't even know if I had them in the footage, but I most of the time forget that I have them on my bar. I know. it's a mistake. I should use consumables more. That's what everyone tells me. I should use consumables because they actually do help. And I know that. In fact, we might actually come out with a video talking about how helpful consumable potions can be and the difference they can make for lighter armor classes in PvP scenarios at the very least. But that's not today's video. Now, after exploring around the entirety of this really well-built this really well-built Coliseum, I have casino on the brain because we're actually getting ready to have our first casino night in the Golden City. We'll probably do a video about that too, but a lot of cool community-driven in-game content coming just all around the board. But it was a really well-built Coliseum. It was super high detail. Below the actual dueling arena itself was kind of the assembly area for all of the participants. And there was actually very much so like the actual Coliseum where there was a separation for where all the fighters and gladiators were, and there was a preparation area, and it almost looked like, you know, they were prisoners and they were locked behind cages. But that's what this was turned into as well, and that's where we went and hung out in between our fights. Now, SIF is an RP server, so there's also a lot of RPing going on just around the entire event too. People weren't just spectating, but they were also developing, and character storylines were going on and people were interacting just all around, which honestly, I feel it's so immersive when that's all happening at these types of things. It's just a really cool experience. But nevertheless, the duels started happening. I didn't actually know the rules going into it. So I didn't know that you could use healing staves. I didn't know that you could switch weapons or anything like that. And then by the second fight, I actually started to learn that. I lost my 2 fights against 2 really good fighters. Artemisia was our first combatant of the night, and she was in a duelist's build. So I call it a duelist's build, but it's basically a light armor chest piece with divine shield on it. So it reflects damage back to the instead of, well, it used to reflect damage, but now it just blocks damage and then heals the user instead. And very useful because it gives you high survivability. And when if you time it correctly, you're going to actually benefit a lot from that, mostly because if someone's about to hit you with a very heavy hit and you know it's coming, you can hit that ability and your health is going to go up. And at the end of the day, a duel is over when one player's health gets to 10. And if it's not yours, then you win. So survivability is a major component, and that's what I learned after the second fight that we lost. So the big winner, Artemisia, when with that duelist build, came in and just absolutely... we went toe for toe for a decent amount of it, but that divine shield is a hard one to predict, and you have to really pull back when you see that shield pop up. And if you don't do that, then you're giving them health. And if you have no way to get the health back yourself, then, well, you're cooked. So that was our first fight. Our second fight was against just a monster of a leather armor, like full medium armor build. And I learned that I could swap weapons. I didn't know I could swap to a healing staff. And I accidentally brought a lower class of item than I was able to use, and I tried swapping to it and I physically couldn't. Big mistake on my part. And absolutely rookie mistake. So we got absolutely demolished in that second fight. Pretty much every fight after that, though, we learned that we could swap over to our healing staff, and I happened to have a build that allowed me to swap over to other weapons with a negligible cooldown, which was pretty cool. And I was able to basically out-survive anyone because I had a Sylvan staff. And whenever my health got low, I would just swap over to my Sylvan, heal myself back up, avoiding some attacks, and then go right back into attacking. That was a solid strategy. I don't know if that... Some people say healing stabs shouldn't be allowed into the combats, but in some ways, I feel like it's also kind of a testament to your ability to fight if you're able to manage cooldown timers, and if you're bringing weapons or armor that give you the benefit for fighting against the cooldown timers, then you should be rewarded for that, because other players are being rewarded for other things too. I'd love to hear what you all think in the comments, but nevertheless, that's kind of how the fights went for the most part. At the end of the day, the winner of the tournament was Decim, who is a member of Black Fang and also was running a duelist build. From what I heard, they had relatively high gear score or item power for their armor and their weapons, which when I went up against him, we only tied. We never actually, neither of us actually won the fight. It included me dodging a lot of attacks and running around in circles trying to avoid getting hit so I could get my health back up. And most of that was just because I could not do enough DPS to match their DPS before I would have died. So I had to keep swapping back and forth. And by the end of it, there was a couple of times where I was getting them down to maybe a third of their health or maybe 40%, but I couldn't really get past that without risking my own life. So it just kind of went back and forth for 10 minutes, and then we had a draw, which probably wasn't the most favorite result out of everyone in the crowd. They were very, very upset that I was running around in circles, but hey, a guy's got to do what he's got to do in order to stay alive. So either way, it was a really, really fun event. And these are the types of events that I think really need to continue to emerge in Pax Day. I've always been a strong proponent that the RP servers are the true way to play Pax Day. I'm biased because I'm on those servers, but a lot of just emergent content like this is coming out and it's incredibly fun. And there are communities that exist out in the game and they're collecting together, forming their own culture, forming their own civilizations, basically, and they're developing their own distinct and unique personalities. And I find that so cool in this game. And I feel like it's only exacerbated or accentuated on an RP server. So with that being said, I know we didn't have any official news this week, but I did, there were a lot of dueling tournaments that have been happening ever since the dueling update came out. And I wanted to share what that looks like and give you all an opportunity to see all of the fights going on in the background. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, please do like this video. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers on the channel. And the only way we can do that is if you hit that subscribe button, and then also share this video with your friends who like to stay up to date with all things Pax Day and Pax Day related. But 2 weeks without news translates to we're getting news at some point in time, and I am very much so looking forward to it. We have the Homestead update verse 6 coming down the pipes sooner rather than later, and if you want to stay up to date with all of those things Pax Day, you're in the right channel to do that. Thanks to all of our channel members who financially support the channel. Until the next video, I'm Altai, the Professional Gamer.